Pair of tin snips to cut the stainless wraps. Yeah, sure. All right, good morning everybody. Today we are taking off the heat shield. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one tucked in way up here. I've taken this off before. That one is pretty tough to get to, but you can do it. They're 10 mil bolts. We take off the heat shield, and then we're going to take the header pipes off, and then we're going to wrap them. I'm going to see if that helps. So you can see where I've cut out here before, all along here into here. It's because the skeg and mud and brush and stuff gets jammed in here, and then it dries out and overheats, and this is where the majority of the Can-Am fires are. So it's pretty funny when you got a bunch of Can-Ams and they all pull over after riding skeg, and everybody's scrambling because smoke is pouring from out from under the seat. This will melt your seat if it catches fire. I've had this catch fire a couple times, but it hasn't melted the seat, fortunately. I had put some the tin tape underneath, the aluminum foil tape. So, and then I've cut this out so I can get at it and clean it better. But now I'm going to take this off and wrap the pipes. I'm going to wrap it with titanium wrap. So we just got to get the heat shield off and then take the pipes off. These are the easy ones. The bottom ones, there's just a clip behind them, a threaded clip that just sits in behind. I'm taking that off too, but now we got the hard one. It's way up in here. If you bend this down a bit, you might be able to see it in there if I don't move the camera on you. Get that one out, and the heat shield will come off. You can see I've got the cover off for the clutch. I was checking the belt, and I might take this, might take the clutches off. I'm not sure. Got to clean them out a bit, and we'll see. I got to check all the snorkel joints, make sure nothing is leaking. What's real handy is these little ratchet wrenches. They're expensive, but they're handy. And you can put a wrench on and ratchet like that. It makes the job so much easier. There we go. Probably come off easier if I had this fender loose, but I'll try and do it without it being loose. There we go. One heat shield. Now there's back part of the shield. That comes off when that bolt. That goes on top, so that's pretty easy. There's one nut and bolt here. And that one comes off. And then this one, there's another screw just back here. You can see it right there. And I think that's it. I think there's just the two on that one. And then the pipe, obviously, pipe clamp that goes to your slip-on. And then you got to go to the motor to get the headers off. The one is pretty easy. They're actually both pretty easy. If you got the other side open, that bolt's easy. This bolt's a little harder. And those bolts are pretty easy to get the header off. Take it off, clean it up. And then once she's clean, we can start putting the wrap on. And this is what I got. I just bought this off Amazon. OHM and FC exhaust heat wrap. It's titanium wrap. Give you a couple little latex gloves. I'm allergic to latex, so throw those aside. There's the titanium wrap. I think there's 50 feet of that. Can't remember how much this cost. A little keep everything cool. Little instruction card. I'll have to take a look at that. And then there's a bunch of these little bands. And apparently these are pretty important to hold it all in place. So these are little stainless steel bands. And then to top it off, it'll be heat resistant or heat proof or whatever. Temperature siliconized or silicone spray. So, haven't been able to find any around here yet, so I'll have to order some from somewhere. But that's all there is to it. So we'll get at taking the rest of this header off. So we're going to take the slip-on off. There's, like I said, that one there. I think that that's an Imperial one. I can't remember what it was, 3/8 or 7/16. And then there's a 10 mil bolt nut there. And then there's another nut up in there. Can't remember what it is. I'll have to check it out. So that bolt up there is indeed a 13 mil. And that's a 10 mil. And it is a 7/16. So the pipe band is loose. There's the pipe. Slip-on is off. And I'll put the bolts back into places like that where then you know where they are. Just keep them on there. And the nice thing about the SPI pipe is you can take the cap off. You can take it off here and repack this thing easily. All this is just baked on mud. You know, some steel wool, we'll take that off. Now I'll get these tin shields out of the way. And this one that holds, is the last bolt that holds this back shield on. If you bend up the plastic a little bit, you can see it's just a little carriage bolt, a 10 mil nut. So that just comes off. And looking at that cylinder there, it looks like the plastic valve cover is still leaking, so gonna have to deal with that too. Might be an idea to put some aluminum valve covers on there. Well, I got everything apart. Those plastic valve covers are a pain in the butt, man. They heat up and they warp and they leak. And anyways, we got springs here. You can use a spring puller or we can use vice grips, whatever suits your liking. Right, vice grips, just clip them on and pull the spring off. Pretty simple. Now we loosen off the header bolts, and it's 13 mil. And I've had these off before, so fortunately it'll be pretty easy to come off. Got to do that there. And then over here on the back side, and there's only one underneath there that's kind of hard to get at, but we'll get at that. Alright, so instead of the nuts coming off, the whole stud's coming out, which is fine. Just comes out of the thread. Just careful when you put it back in not to overstrip the the head, the cylinder. And because I have the springs off the other side, the pipe, the small pipe, is coming off real easy too. So falls like that. And one other thing, I always get a lot of questions about leaky antifreeze. Well, all these joints on the antifreeze hose here, on the coolant hose, all these joints are held on by these little different clip ones, and they leak. This one I've replaced. I put a gear clamp on, but you can see up here on the top one, you can see a little bit of leakage here, and those little clip clamps. I'll probably replace those, although it's not leaking very much. But what happens is the antifreeze leaks, drops down on the cylinder, heats up, and you smell antifreeze. That's why, give a little shout out to Frankie's channel. He's always yelling, I smell antifreeze. That's the Can-Am thing, I guess. And there's one more thing. There's your linkage. There's your shifter. Your linkage bar comes all the way down, and you have an adjustment here. So when you hear people popping out of gear, it's because the linkage bar is not set exactly perfect and doesn't quite get into gear. And if it doesn't, it'll pop out like that. So there's your adjustment right there. You don't have to adjust it very much. There's a nut there and a big, like a turnbuckle here. You just turn it a little tiny bit. Check it. Make sure that your gear bar here is exactly in the center. Like I said, if it's not in the center of neutral, when you push it up into, especially up into low, all the way forward, it doesn't quite reach, and then it just kind of sits on the edge, and any bit of roughness, boom, it pops out of gear, and you hear all the gears grinding, and everybody goes, ah! So that's just a little tidbit there for you. Okay, continue on. I got this bolt out. Of course, I left the hardest one for last, so we'll have fun with that one. This whole thing is loose now. Now, a little bit of a trick of getting this thing out. Not much of a trick. Just got to get it past the fender. So there's your left side header. It's got a little heat shield on there. We'll take that off. And then we'll take this one last part of heat shield off here. All right, header pipes are totally out. The heat shield is out. That one stays in. There we are. 2 header pipes and the wrap and the straps. So all I gotta do is clean those up, and then the wrap begins. Alright, not quite finished, a little bit, but wire brush gets 90% of the old baked on mud off, so headers are looking pretty good now. We're on our way to getting wrapped. All the pipes are cleaned up. I even cleaned up the tailpipe, the slip-on. I'm going to wrap part of that too. I put a little coat of muffler paint on it. It's just drying now. Just so it looks a little better, and it maybe it'll keep the corrosion off the pipes. So next step is going to be to start wrapping them. The titanium wrap, 2-inch. I think there's about 50 feet or something like that there. The little bands they give you. And took out the transmission out, going to replace the seals. I'm going to replace all the seals all the way around it. That was the one that was leaking, as you can see. You can see the valve cover valve cover itself. I guess it warped on the last one and was leaking again. So I'm going to clean that up. Try and find some aluminum ones, but it's hard to find. I got to take the chain tensioner out and change that gasket too. And put the ECU back in. That's right there. Still lots of work. Lots of work. Alright, you have to excuse the noise of the furnace, the heater. Need some heat in here. Starting to wrap. This is on the pipe, the slip-on pipe section. The clamp's going to go around here, so I got to leave it back a little bit. Just using some masking tape just to hold it to start. Doing this by myself, so it'll burn off. Making about half wraps, halfway. The fun part is that it gets all twisted up on the roll end here. I wanted to do a little test to make sure this is titanium and this isn't like some fiberglass knockoff or something. So a little bit of flame on it. And it's not melting or burning, so looks good to me. So I'm just going to use a tie wrap to hold the end down for now, and then we'll be putting these bands on. I'm not sure how many to put on right now, so I'll wrap all these pipes first, and then I'll put the bands on and then spray it with the heat tempered or heat proof silicone. Okay, so on the header pipes where they go into the engine, when they go into the cylinder, they say leave it back 3 or 4 inches or whatever, just so you don't build up too much heat on the exhaust or in the exhaust port on the cylinder. So leave it back a bit about there. Pretty tough to wrap that anyways. Okay, there's the little pipe wrapped. Lift her back to about there. Wrapped her all the way down to where it joins the other pipe. So the springs go on here. Okay, so it seems to be working out that I'll have one for the middle of the tailpipe and one for the middle of that one. The two long ones, so that's perfect. Might even order some more of these just separately. Put a bunch more. Might not be a bad idea, but I can do that after I finish. On the 216 model XMR, we have a shield that used to go on here, screws into here, into here. Doesn't make any sense to start the wrap there and then try and wrap it around these. I might put a little bit of wrap in between here, and then the wrap will go down the main section and then around this section here. This is where the tailpipe joins on. So what I do is I'm going to clean up that little shield, just a little one, and I'll put a little bit of wrap on there, and then I'll put that shield back on, just so you don't see like these. I said, I can always, I'm just rattling the can, so I can always add more. It'd be nice to have them every 4 or 5 inches. So another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 more bands would be nice. If I end up having to need to wrap a little bit more somewhere, I got lots of wrap left over. So silicone time, and we'll see what this aluminum is going to look like. Okay, here goes nothing. Ooh, she's really aluminum. That's alright. I'll spray the whole thing with aluminum. Oh, she's smelly. Woohoo! I bought a whole bunch of cans, so I got lots. Alright, so I got aluminum silicone floating everywhere in the air in here. So I soaked it real good. So that's the pipe wrap. I'll probably put another coat on just to make sure it's soaked in real good. And then I got lots more work to do before I put these back on. So hope this was somewhat useful. It's a learning process for me. Thanks for watching.